This conference will now be recorded.
Yeah, our requirement is our requirement is okay, I'm trying to creating one custom object. I'm trying to creating one custom object. My custom object name is nothing but my custom object name is nothing but employee info. Okay, my custom object name is nothing but employee info. This is employee info. So we will get one field, standard field, that is nothing but employee name. In addition to that, I will create one field that is a lookup field to the user, that is lookup field to the user, and that is nothing but it's a master info, and the next one is the custom fields are user1, user2, user3, user3. Okay, this is my custom object. My custom object, we created one custom object. My custom object name is nothing but employee info. In this custom object, this is a lookup field to the user object. This is a lookup field to the user object. Now coming into user object. User is a standard object. Okay, user is a standard object. In user object username. In addition to that, we have some other fields. We have some other field f1, f2, same requirement whatever we discussed previously, right? Same type of requirement. Okay, f1, f2, f3. Okay, f1, f2, f3. These three fields are there. So user is nothing but ours is a Tyler version, right? Only two users to create, right? 45, 67, 78. Okay, and another user is Akira, and here the data is any data, and any data. Now my requirement is I'm trying to creating a new employee record. I'm trying to creating new employee record. Suppose I will select the user as a Ramesh. Suppose I will select the user as Ramesh and click on the save button. Click on the save button. Then these data it should populate here. Then these data it should populate here. This is one step. This is one thing. So while creating an employee record, okay, while creating employee record based on the master info selection. Okay, based on the master info selection, below fields should populate. Okay, below fields should populate. Okay, below field should populate. Below field should populate. So fields are US1 and US2 and US3. With which data it should populate? It should populate with the F1, and it should populate with the F2, and it should populate with the F3. Okay, while creating an employee record, suppose user he will select any one of this user. Suppose user he will select any one of this master info. This is a lookup to the user. Then these data it should populate. This is one case. Not only creation operation. Not only creation operation. Suppose I am trying to updating a record. Updating a record in the sense means whenever we are trying to updating this particular field. Suppose I am trying to updating to Akira. I am trying to updating to Akira, then these fields should update. This is another case. While updating a employee record, generally they will give updating a employee record, but we should consider whenever they are trying to changing this particular field. Whenever they are trying to changing this particular field only. Okay. Suppose they will try to update this field to the blank, then this data it should populate with the blank only. Then this data it should populate with the blank only. This is our requirement. Okay, this is our requirement. So my requirement is, suppose we are trying to creating a new employee record and user he will select to master info, then these data it should populate. That is case number one. The second one is, suppose user is trying to updating master info field. Generally how we will get a requirement is, suppose we are trying to updating a record, but we have to consider while we are trying to updating a particular field only. then these data should populate. Okay, now the third case is, suppose user you will update it to the blank, then these data should be the blank. These data should be the blank. This is my trigger. This is my trigger. Before going and writing a trigger, first we will do the setup. Whenever we are working in the project, so whether it is a, whenever we will get a requirement, we have to do end to end. Whether it is a object creation, field creation, trigger, everything we have to do. Everything we have to do based on our requirement. So this is a configuration part. Some admin person will do. It is not like that. So this is my requirement. Suppose you joined in the project, they will give this information. Then what we have to do? We have to create object, we have to create fields, and everything we have to create. Now I'm trying to creating employee info object. Go to setup, go to setup and create object. Whether it is a classic version or the lightning version, same thing. I'm using the classic version. Go to object, click on new custom object. My object name is nothing but employee info, employee info, here employee info, employee infos, and the next one is, make this one as a tab. Finally try to save this one. Already this object is there. One second. Already this object is there, employee info. Okay. New custom object, employee info, any name. Okay, employee infos. Okay, and make this one as a tab. Try to save this one. These type of requirements only we will get whenever we are working with the project. These type of requirement only we will get. Okay, in this case we will go and write a trigger. Okay, and click on the next button. Finally try to save this one. Finally try to save this one. Okay, now in this object what I will do, I will just go and create some fields. So the first field is a lookup field to the master info. Lookup field to the user. Lookup relationship. Click on next button, and the next one is here lookup to the user. What is a user? User is a standard object. Standard object, and my lookup field name is nothing but master info. Master. Okay, master info, and click on next, and click on next, and click on, and finally try to save this one. Now I'm trying to creating three other fields: us1, user1, user2. Okay, now go to here, text fields. Okay, any data type, it doesn't matter. Click on next button. Okay, user1. Okay, user in, otherwise u1, and 255. Click on next, and click on next. Still it is loading. Click on next. Try to save only. Okay, then the next one is user2 text field. Click on next, click on next, and 255. Click on next, click on next. Finally save only. Okay, then the next one is u3 text field. Click on next, click on next, click on next. Try to save this one. We created three custom fields, u1, u2, u3, and this is a lookup field to the master info. Now go to user object. Okay, how to navigate to the user object? User is a standard object, right? Go to here, go to user object, and the user object also I'm trying to creating some record. Go to user, and this is user object. Go to view fields, and user object I'm trying to creating a fields. Otherwise I'm using this ab1, ab2, 3 field. These fields I'm using ab1. Okay, AB1, AB2, AB2, and the next one is AB3. Okay, AB3. Already some fields are there. I'm using those fields. Now go to user object. Go to user object. Click on this edit button. Click on this edit button. How to create a user? We discussed already, right? So AB1, AB2, AB3. Okay, these three data is there. 88, 77, 99. Okay. Now we will just go and verify some other record, some other user. Akira Mohi. Go to this particular user. Go to this particular user and click on this edit button. Click on this edit button. And the next one is AB1, AB2, right? 11, 21, 33. Okay, our setup is ready. Okay, our setup is ready. Okay, now what is my requirement? My requirement is, suppose we are trying to creating a new employee record. Suppose we are trying to creating a new employee record, right? So finally, where we write our trigger? In employee info object, we write our trigger. Okay, in employee info object, we write our trigger. Okay, second. In employee info object, we write our trigger. So go to file, new, apex trigger, which object? Okay, populate user fields, which object? Employee info, right? Go to here, employee info. Okay, employee info. This is our object. Click on submit button. Click on submit button. So finally we will get our screen like this. Okay, for trigger, you trigger name on employee info object. This is insert operation. What is our requirement? Only for insert operation or update operation or both operation? Both operation, right? Both operation. First we will write our trigger for before insert operation, then we'll write our trigger for then we will also include update logic inside the same trigger. Now coming into here, suppose user is trying to creating employee info record. So now we want that employee record information. So trigger.new means it will give the latest record, right? Trigger.new means it will give the latest employee record. Okay, so I mean it will give the current record with whatever the data we are entered. Suppose user is trying to creating new employee info record, so that record information we will get in the trigger.new. Employee info, emp info. Okay, emp info. Okay, this is my variable. Then what is my next step? So suppose user is trying to creating employee info record, and if master info is not equals to blank, master info is not equals to blank, then what we have to do? One second, where is that field? Okay, go to objects, go to objects and go to object. Where is employee info? This is employee info, right? Where is that field? This is a master info field, right? Okay, go to here. If employee info dot master info does not equals to null, then what we have to do? Suppose user is trying to creating one employee info record. So while creating an employee info record, take that data. In that data you have to check whether user he will select this master info or not. If he selected this master info, then what we have to do? What we have to do? Set of id. Okay, set of id, set of user infos is equals to new set of id. I am taking here set. Okay, then for this is set, I am trying to adding this one. Okay, dot add of master info. Master info is what? It is a lookup field to the user. It is a lookup field to the user. Okay, it is a lookup field to the user. Okay, see, this is a lookup field to the user. So up to now, what is this meaning? Suppose user is trying to creating employee info record. While creating an employee info record, suppose user he will not select any. Suppose user he will select master info. Suppose user he will select master info. Okay, user he will select a master info, then add this particular id to the add this particular id to this particular set. So then the next step is, if we should add this line. Okay, the set of user info is empty. Suppose I am trying to creating one employee info record and I am not selecting anything, then what does that mean? Set of user info is blank, right? If set of user info dot is empty, generally we will use is empty. So some people what they will do is they will use size is greater than 0. Size is greater than 0, but this is not the best practice. Why it is not the best practice? In the sense means, for example, this is a set, right? In this set 100 elements are there. Assume that 100 elements are there. So what this size it will do? It will go to here 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 up to 100. It will verify how much size is there, how much size is there. But suppose I will write like this, suppose I will write like this is empty, then what it will do? It will check whether there is at least one element or not. Yes, here at least one element is there, then I will not check how much size is. So it will come out of this one. So writing is empty is the best practice. So writing is empty is the best practice. Size means it will check the complete set, how many elements are there. So it will take some time. So now I am just putting not symbol. If not symbol in the not symbol or set is empty means I am trying to return where it will return means it will came out of the trigger. It will came out of the trigger. It will go out of the trigger. So first it will check whether user is trying to creating employee info record. From that employee info record, so it will check whether master info is selected or not. If he will not select anything, then set is empty. Then set is empty. If set is empty, then don't execute below lines. You have to return from here. That is nothing but return. That is nothing but return. Some people what they will do instead of return, they will add it like this. If set is not empty, then inside this one we will write our logic. Set is not empty, then inside this one we will write our logic. This is nothing but not symbol. If set is not empty, then we will write our logic here. We will write our logic here. Then what is my next step? We have to fetch the data. From where we have to fetch the data? From user object. Which field we have to fetch the data? So ab1 underscore underscore c, go to here, whatever the fields we want, whatever the fields we want, ab2 underscore underscore c and ab3 underscore underscore c, from user object where id in, where id in. Okay, we are getting all the user information. We are getting all user information. Here what is the return type? List I will take. Why list I will take? List is order based. Which order it will come? Here in which order it's stored, right? In the same order we will get it. Okay, in the same order we will get it. Okay, in the same order we will get it. Okay, so in the same order we will get in the set. Which order it will store? Suppose I am using data loader, I am trying to creating 100 employee info record. In which order it will store? In the set. In the same order it will fetch the record. So finally list is nothing but order based. And here why we are using the list? Why we are using the list? We are not guaranteed right how many records are there. Whether you are inserting employee info record by using data loader or directly, we are not guaranteed. So we will always think, suppose multiple records are inserted, what happened? Okay, suppose multiple records are inserted, what happened? So list of users, list of user infos. The variable names also we should use like this. Here you have to observe what here we are storing. Set of in the user info, right? We are storing. This is a lookup to the user object, right? Where we are storing? We are storing into the set, right? That's why set of user info. Here what we are getting? List, right? This is a list, right? In the list what we are getting? User info, right? That's why list of user info we are trying to getting. So finally here what we are getting? So we are getting user info. Then what we will do is I will just go and prepare one map of id, user, map of, see, map of user infos is equals to new map of id. See here, new map of id. Okay, new map of id. I'm preparing a map. I'm preparing a map. Then what is my next step here? Whatever the data is there in the list, right? That data we have to put into the map. So for loop and this list of users here, user, and this list of users we are taking and I'm preparing a map. In the map, which format we are adding? Map of user infos dot put of u dot id, means user id and the corresponding user record. the corresponding user record. So some people, what they will do is, instead of writing all this logic, what they will do is, they will write this SOQL query. So they will write this SOQL query. How they will write? They will directly add map here. Map of ID, comma, user. See, map of user info here. Map of user infos is equals to new map of ID, comma, user, new map of ID, comma, user, and here you will just go and write this query. So some people, they will directly use like this. Some people, they will directly use like this. This is also an option. So instead of fetching the data into the list and preparing a map, finally they will write a query. Okay, finally they will write a query in this format. They will write a query in this format. They will write a query. It is okay in this format. So the same query, the system automatically put the data into user ID and the user info. User ID and the user info. See here, user ID and the user info. 1 second. The syntax map SOQL query is map SOQL query in Salesforce.
స్క్వేర్ బ్రాకెట్స్ ఉంటాయి రమేష్ గారు.
Yes, Mahesh.
అదంతా కరెక్టే,
Mahesh.
కానీ స్క్వేర్ బ్రాకెట్స్ ఉంటాయి ఇక్కడ. కర్లీ బ్రేసెస్
ఇక్కడ
కాకుండా ఇవి బ్రేసెస్ స్క్వేర్ బ్రాకెట్స్ ఉంటాయి రెండు సైడ్లు.
Yeah, some people, they will directly write here. Okay, so some people, they will directly write here unexpected token. Okay. Line number 19. 1 second, Mahesh. Still it is showing some error message. Let's see. See, like this. Okay, inside this bracket also we have to write. Try to save this one. Line number 19. Yeah, so generally map we will do, how we will write. See here, how we will write, like this, right? Like this we will write, right? Map of ID comma user. Now query, how we will write? This is my query, right? This is my query. This query we have to copy paste it here. Okay, we have to copy paste. So the same thing, this data, the system, it will store in this format. This is a user ID and this is nothing but user record. This is a user ID and this is nothing but a user record. Any questions on this one? Any questions or any confusion? So what we have to do is, we will just go to print system.debug statement. Okay, so you will try to understand what is the output here. You will try to understand what is the output here. Okay? Plus what is the output here, you will try to understand. Okay, you will try to understand. Okay, now we prepared one map. When we will go this line number 12, whatever we added, right? When we will go this scenario and when we will go this scenario, in the sense means, suppose we want to get whatever here we are fetching, right? That ID and the corresponding record. That ID and the corresponding record, directly I want user ID and the corresponding record. Then you will just go and put like this. Suppose we want to prepare our custom format. This is the standard map format. This is standard map format in the sense means record ID and the corresponding record information. This is a record ID and the corresponding record information. See here also we are taking user ID, right? User ID and the corresponding user info, right? So this is the standard format. Suppose we want the standard format, the record ID and the corresponding record information, then we will just go and use this format. Suppose we want to customize our map. How to customize our map, when, what is the purpose means, that we'll discuss. Okay, that we'll discuss. Generally two ways to prepare a map. So we will fetch the list, and that list we will iterate it, and we will add to that particular map. This is one mechanism. This is one mechanism. The second one is directly we will add into the map. Directly we will add into the map. Directly we will add into the map. Okay, so this is another mechanism. When we will use this one and when we will use this one means, this is the standard format. Standard format in the sense means in which format we want. User ID, the corresponding record information, right? This is the user ID and this is user record information. User ID and the user record information. Suppose we want to customize our map, then we have to go in this format. Okay, both format we should learn. Okay, suppose you want any information, you will just go and add the debug statement. Finally we have a map. In that map, one user ID and the corresponding user record. Okay, now what is my next step? Again, take the current record. Current record is what? Current record is nothing but here. Current record is employee info. Take this current record, employee info e record trigger.new. So user is trying to creating employee info record. While creating an employee info record, suppose user he will select the master info, then where we have to search? We have to search in this particular map. If, okay, if this particular field, see here, e record dot master info, this particular field is available in the map. This particular field is available in the map. Contains key. Contains key. Okay, this particular field is available in the map. See here, this is map, right? I am using which method? Contains key. This is a key and value pair, right? We are checking in this particular map. We are checking in this particular map. A user is trying to creating one employee info record. While creating an employee info record, this field is available in this particular map or not? This field is available in this particular map or not? Yes, it is available. Yes, it is available. Then what it will do? It will enter into this particular loop. It will enter into this particular loop. Map of user info dot get. Okay, see here, get means it will give this record. Whatever the user record is there, that record here it will give. User record is equals to, okay, user record equal to, then what is my next step? In this field we have to, update e record dot ab, e record not here, where we want to update. Okay, 1 second, we are getting the, yes, here we have to update only, right? Where we have to update? E record dot, see here, u1, right? U1 is equals to user record. From the user record, which field? Okay, ab1 underscore c. Like this we will update the remaining fields also. E record dot u2 and ab2, and the next one is e record dot u3, and the next one is ab3. So user is trying to creating one employee info record. User is trying to creating one employee info record. Okay, this is the process. Okay, and 1 second, I will explain. This is a standard code. Okay, this is a standard code. Have any questions? Let me know. This is important. This is important. Okay, yeah, I will explain. User is trying to creating one employee info record. Okay, user is trying to creating one employee info record. Go to here. Yeah, user is trying to creating one employee info record. So that's why we are using insert operation. While creating an employee info record, suppose user will select the master info. So then what we are doing, we are taking the current record, whatever user is inserting, right? That current record we are taking. From the current record, we are trying to checking whether user selected master info field or not. Yes, we are verified. Yes, it's verified. So if he selected, then what we are doing? Take that ID. take that id. The front end it is a name, but in the back end it is a id. Take that id, and that id you have to add this particular set. That id you have to add to this particular set. Set of id is equals to new set of id. You have to add to that particular set. You have to add into this particular set. So now coming into here, suppose I am trying to creating one new employee record. While creating a new employee record, suppose I will not select the master info. Then what? Then what it will happen? Yes, set of user ids is info is a blank, right? Is a empty, right? So that's why we are trying to restricting here. So set of user infos is empty, is not empty. How we are telling? This is not symbol here we are using. If it is not empty, if it is not empty, then you have to enter into this if condition. Then you have to enter into this if condition. Okay, then you have to enter into this if condition. Okay, so then what we are doing? So we are trying to fetching the user record from this particular set. So that's why here we are using in operation. Here we are using in operation. So we are trying to fetching the user record, and we are directly assigning into the map. This is a standard map format. So the record id, and the record information. In the previous session, whenever we are working with the sales team, what we did, the sale we queried the data into the list, and that list we prepared into the map, either that mechanism or this mechanism. So whenever we want the standard map format, then directly go and use this line number 11. Directly go and use this line number 11. Suppose we want to customize our map format, customize our map, then we have to go and use list format. When we will customize, that will discuss. Okay, that will discuss. So finally we have a map. In this map, the data is in this format, the record id and the user record. Then what is my next step? User is trying to creating a new employee record. Again we are verifying. While creating a new employee record, suppose user will select master info. Yes, he will select the master info. This master info is available in this map. Means how we are checking in this map. So this map we am trying to taking this map. See here, this map is there, right? This map we are trying to checking contains key. Contains key means here this is the key we are checking, because of key is a record id, right? So this e record dot master info, this id is there or not? If it is there, what we are doing here, I am trying to get the record. Which record? The corresponding user record we are trying to get it. Yes, we are getting this user record id, this user data we are trying to inserting into this particular field. So here we are using insert operation, right? That's why again no need to write insert keyword here. No need to write insert keyword here. Okay, no need to write any insert keyword. So this is for insert operation. So now what is my requirement? My requirement is for both operation, right? For example, here you will select the Ramesh, then you populated the data here. You populated the data. Now what is my requirement? Suppose you are trying to updating a record. Whenever you are trying to updating from one user to another user, so that is nothing but update operation. Then what I will do is I will just go and write before update operation. Before update operation, we can include all events in a single trigger. We can include all events in a single trigger. Then how we are going to differentiate? This logic should work for the insert operation. This logic should work for the update operation. Now coming into here, what is my requirement? Suppose user is trying to changing this particular field, right? User is trying to changing this particular field. If how we will verify user is trying to changing that particular field or not? If trigger dot old map dot get off get off get off record, right? Take this record, employee info dot id. Employee info dot id means it will give the current record old information. See here, trigger dot old map dot get means it will give the trigger dot old map means what? It will give the old data. It will give the old data. Which record old data? Which record old data? See here, I am trying to asking the system for this record is there. This record old data you have to give. Yes, it will give the old data for this record. From this record, which field we want? From this record, which field we want? We want this master info field. So trigger dot old map is nothing but it will give the old data. So from that old data, you have to fetch this particular field old value, and now we are trying to comparing. This is the standard syntax. Suppose we want to get to the old value of a particular field. See a trigger dot old map dot get of this is what is this employee info? This is a variable name dot id. This is the standard syntax. Which field we want? This field we want. Then the next one is employee info dot master info. Old value does not equals to new value. And see here, two cases are there, right? Employee info, see here, employee info does not equals to null, right? Does not equals to null. Then what we will do? What we will do? Then again I'm use the same set here, the same line of code, right? Suppose user is trying to changing master info. So how we are verifying whether he will changing that particular field or not? I'm using old map with the new data. Does not equals to this is does not equals to symbol. And at the same time, if it is not equals to null, then what we have to do? Means this line, what does that line mean? Line number 8, what does that mean? Suppose he is trying to changing from Akira Mohit to Ramesh. Means old value does not equals to new value, and new value master info does not equals to null. Master info does not equals to null. Then what we have to do? Take this particular id. Take this particular id. That's why we are taking this particular id and we are adding to this particular set. Then remaining logic is same, right? The remaining logic, if set is not empty, then what we have to do? We have to fetch that user info. We have to fetch that particular user info, and we have to fetch that particular user info here, and we will try to assign into this particular employee record. So the same logic, right? The same logic. And here we have one more logic is there, right? Suppose user is trying to changing. See, trigger dot old map dot get of this one master info old value does not equals to new value, and suppose we will make it as a null. We will make it as a null. Then what we have to do? Then we have to update. No need this logic. No need this logic. Then what we have to do? We have to make this field as a blank, right? We have to make this field as a blank. Go to here. We have to make this field as a blank. Go to here. Employee record. See here. Null. Null. Second. Null and null and null. Null, right? So this is one condition. This is one condition, right? Now what we have to tell to the system? So suppose user is trying to creating a new employee record, then what system it will do? Here it will come. Yes, here it will go to this line, it will execute. Yes, set of user IDs info. Yes, it will go to here. Now again it will come into here. Now again it will come into here. 1 second. What is this one? E record. Not E record. Okay, employee info, right? Here employee info. Okay. Suppose user is trying to creating new employee record. Here it will come into here. Yes, this line it will execute. Again here it will come into this line. Trigger dot old map. Where is old map? Still not yet record is created. Then again you are checking trigger dot old map. I will throw null pointer exception here. Attempt to two difference in null pointer exception here we will get it. So how we have to tell to the system? This line you have to execute only for before insert operation. This line we have to execute only for before update operation. Now we have to tell to the system. So how we have to tell to the system is nothing but, so I will just go and add this line. Trigger dot is before, trigger dot is before, trigger dot is insert, right? Means this line is execute for the insert operation. Now coming in here, what I will do? Trigger dot is before and trigger dot is update. Trigger dot is update. Then see here, for this condition what they will do, instead of writing two if conditions here, what I will do, I will do some changes like this. I will do some changes like this. Okay, and this is my if conditions here. Suppose we are trying to updating, and suppose we are trying to changing this particular field, then what we will do? If employee info does not equals to null, right? Employee info dot master info does not equals to null, not equals to null. See, And suppose if it is equals to null, again I will include this line inside this one. If, okay, go to here, else if employee info is equals to null, go to here, the same line, right? So we can write however we want. I'm just removing this one. See here, this is the final code. Suppose user is trying to creating new, 1 second, it is throwing some error. Else, which line it is to throwing? Line number 22. Go to here. Go to here. Yes, this one also closed. Yeah, we have to add this one. This statement. Yes. Okay. This one is closed. Now for loop, this one also closed, right? For loop also. Yeah. Now everything is fine. Is update. Is update. Okay. Is update. Okay, this is final trigger. I will explain once again. Suppose user is trying to creating one new employee record. Yes, insert operation is there. It will go to here, it will take that particular record. Okay, from that particular record, then again it will go to this line before insert. Yes, before creating a record, master info does not equals to null. Yes, it will enter into here, it will enter into here. Okay, then it will add into the set. Now it will come into the next slide before update. No, this is not before update operation, this is the insert operation. So I will not enter inside this one, I will not enter inside this one. Now coming into this logic is common, fetch the user info and into the map, and here we are trying to checking that particular map, and we are assigning the data from the user to this particular record. Suppose user is trying to updating a record, suppose user is trying to updating a record. Now here it will come, yes, trigger.new. Yes, it will take the latest data. Now here it will go to this line. Yes, before insert is not no, this is not before insert, this is the before update. Now here it will go to before update. Yes, user is trying to changing this particular field or not, user is trying to changing this particular field or not. Okay, user is trying to changing this particular field or not. Yes, he is trying to changing that particular field. Okay, then here it will enter into here, the employee information is not equals to null. If it is equals to null, then it will enter into this one. Here only it will update. There is no need of set and all those things. Directly we are trying to updating to blank. Suppose user this master info does not equals to null, then we are trying to adding to this particular set. We are trying to adding to this particular set. Okay. Now coming into here, this is the common logic. This is the common logic. So any questions on this one or any confusion? This is a standard code. This is a standard code. Suppose we joined in the project, we will also use the same format. Any questions? Now, what I will do is I
Ramesh,
will do, yes, Ajay.
Ramesh, here the trigger dot old map is there, right? So when it goes for an update, the moment you click on the edit button, right? So the entire record information will be copied into the map, old map.
No, no. Go to here, click on this one. Here is our employee info. Go to here, employee info.
Hmm.
Hello. Yeah, Ajay, sorry, Ajay, my set
No
problem. Okay.
problem. Yeah,
Coming
no
again.
problem.
I will
Yeah.
try to create one employee records here. Go to here,
Mhm.
test, click on this one, try to save this one. Okay. It is
Mm.
populating the data, right?
Mm.
Now your
Correct.
question is click on this edit button.
Mm.
Not click on it. Now you have to change into here. Okay. You have to
Mm.
change in and now click on the save button.
Mm.
Okay, click on the save button. Once click on the save button, what system it will do? It will verify any employee info any triggers are there. I mean
Mm.
it will not directly go to the triggers, it will execute in some order like system validation, custom, I mean before insert, like that. So here it will go to the
Mm.
before
Mm.
update
Mm.
operation. So once it will go to the before update operation, what it will do? It will verify this line. No, it is not satisfied. Line number 8, it will come. Yes, update operation, it will satisfied. Then trigger dot
Mhm.
old map, what it will give? So it will give the old data. Old, this data is there, right? Old data. So old data,
Mm.
whatever the fields before changing. Now in
Mm.
this here, which field we changed? Master info, right? So remain
Correct.
that old data plus the remaining complete record. In that record whatever the fields we changed, right, those
Mm.
data before changing, whatever the data is there, that data it will do in the trigger dot world map. So
Okay.
data from that data okay, from that data
Mm.
what we want? We want our field. We want which field we want? Okay, we want our field, right? Okay, we want our field. Okay, that field we will try to use by using get method, right? By using get
Mm.
method. So here we have one record is there, that record field we want. Trigger dot
Mm.
world map means what it will give? It will give the complete record. In which format
Correct.
it will? It will give in this format. Map of ID, the user format. In this format, what will give? Here, what I am doing? Dot get of this ID, right? Which ID here we
Mm.
are taking? This ID, right? Okay. Generally, here I am using the same format. Here you have to observe get, right? Map of get,
Mm.
right? Get, here
Mm.
we are using map is nothing but this map only, right? Dot get. Okay, so
Mm.
here also I'm using the same thing. Trigger dot world map means it will give the map. From that map we want one field data, one field. So suppose I will remove this one, then what it will give? It will give the complete record. See here, get of
Mm.
employee info, same syntax, right? Here also the same syntax, right? Get of this one,
Mm.
give the complete record. No, I don't want complete record, I want that particular field we
Okay.
want. So that's why we are using this field here. Okay, Ji.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, Ramesh. Got it.
Any other questions? Okay. Now, what some people will do is instead of writing I mean, the logic inside a trigger, they will move this logic into the Apex class. How they will move into Apex class, right? We know, right, how to write Apex class. Public class, yeah, public class. This is what employee trigger, right? Employee, generally they will give the terminologies like this: employee trigger, employee trigger. Okay, generally they will give the terminology like this. The trigger name is only one trigger, right? Employee trigger. Then the class name, what they will do is public class employee trigger handler. Okay, handler, this is class name only, employee trigger handler. Then what they will do is they will create one method. That method is static method. Public static void and populate any name. Populate and which field we are trying to populating? You populate user fields. This is my method name. This is my method name. In this method, what we will do? I will just go on to prepare list. So already we discussed trigger.new, what it will give. Trigger.new, what it will give? It will give the list. Okay, trigger.new, what it will give? It will give the list of record, list of employee, list of employee. They will just prepare a method like this: list of employees. Now what I will do, they will also use one map of id, employee info. Okay, old map info. Okay, old map, otherwise old map, in old map employees enforce. Okay, they will just prepare one class. In that class they will prepare a map like this. In this class, in this method is a static method and it will return two parameters. Then what they will do, whatever the logic is there right here, whatever the logic is there, that logic they will move into this particular method. That logic they will move into this particular method. See here, so here before insert is there, right? See now what I will do, the same logic I will just copy paste it. See here, copy paste here. Before insert is there, a trigger dot is before is insert, it is not available here, it is not available here. So before that this one also there, right? This logic, copy this one, copy the same logic, only one change is required. See here, only one change is required. Here trigger.new is not available, right? So instead of trigger.new, we will pass it as a list of employees. List of employees. Trigger dot is before insert, it is not available here. So same code, same piece of code, only one change here, only one change. Instead of trigger.new, they will call it as a list of employees. From the trigger, how they will call it as a employee trigger handler here, employee trigger handler dot this particular method. They will call this particular method and here they will call it as a trigger dot new. And here this is old map, nothing is there, right? For insert operation they will pass it as a null. For before insert operation they will remove this line, they will remove this line and okay, I will share, I will explain going forward. They will remove this line, they will remove this line and they will add this particular line, not this one. They will remove completely, they will remove this completely, only they will add one line, only they will add one line here. Which line they will add? If trigger dot is before and trigger dot is insert, then what they will do, they will call this particular method employee trigger handler dot populate user fields. We need latest data, right? I don't want to map, right? I don't want to map, then I will pass the null. For before update operation, what they will do, they will go to here, trigger dot is before and trigger dot is update. See here they will pass trigger dot old map, old map. In this case they will pass it as a null. Okay, we will discuss clearly. Suppose before delete trigger also completed, then I will write this template. Just this is for your information. Finally the logic is same, finally the logic is same. Some people what they will do is they will write only, some people, not some people, presently everyone, what they will do is they will write only one trigger. From that trigger they will call that apex class. In that apex class they will create different methods, they will pass the parameters, they will pass the parameters. So in this way what it will happen, they will execute they will, the code, the execution is under our control. Suppose I don't want this method, then I will remove this one. I want to call this method first, I want to call this method next, then we will call whatever the method we want. The code is under our control, the code is under our control, and that's why they will write only one trigger per object, only one trigger per object they will write. That we'll discuss. Okay, that we'll discuss still. Okay, going forward we will discuss all the triggers, then finally we will write our template. Okay, this is for today's session. Have any questions? Okay, any confusion?